You know the problem with today? Too much CGI. There was a time when practical effects and set building were an essential part of everyday TV. The set would be built out of cardboard, but now everything is set on a green screen, and even costumes are half CGI. Why? During the 60s, there were shows with a budget of a ham sandwich that managed to do a lot on very little, but some shows actually invested in the effects. Not because they were flashy, but because they had to exist physically. Actors had to interact with real doors, real props, real environments. Even when it looked ropey, it felt tangible. Today's shows might be technically flawless, but they're weightless. Nothing feels there. Back then, ambition wasn't hidden behind post-production. It was right there on screen, wobbling slightly, daring you to believe it anyway. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Dæmon, and today I'm looking back at a time when television actually built its imagination instead of rendering it. And that brings us neatly to Land of the Giants. Set in 1983, which at the time was a full 15 years into the future, the series follows the passenger aircraft Spindrift, lost during a suborbital spaceflight from Los Angeles to London. Just beyond Earth's boundary with space, the plane is dragged through a dimension lock and crashes on a planet that looks uncannily like Earth. Except everything is 12 times larger. The survivors quickly realize they're stranded in the land of the so-called giants, their wreck hidden in woodland just outside a sprawling city that feels disturbingly familiar. And that familiarity is key. Aside from their size, the giants are essentially humans. Their culture, well, it mirrors a 1960s United States almost beat for beat police forces, private hospitals, prisons, governors, radio and television, jazz clubs, racetracks, zoos, vaudeville theaters, the lot. They drive American-style cars, play chess, speak English, and live under a rigid authoritarian system that tolerates capitalism and personal comfort, but absolutely no political dissent. It's a society where freedoms exist only so long as nobody rocks the boat. Beyond their known territories lies an unexplored sea, with air traffic controllers warning pilots to turn back. Whether that's propaganda or the truth is never made entirely clear. The giants are already aware of Earth and its little people, thanks to previous unlucky arrivals before the Spindrift. Their technology is, well, oddly lopsided, cloning, cybernetics, force fields, androids, teleporters, all present. Yet they lack microelectronics, hearing aids, and any form of crude spaceflight. That imbalance keeps both sides trapped. The Earthlings can't exploit giant tech to get home, and the giants can't properly study the little people without capturing them first. The series follows the crew and passengers as they scavenge for supplies, evade capture, and search for a way back through the dimension lock. Captain Steve Burton prioritizes one thing above all else: preventing the giants from ever reaching Earth. The giant government places a bounty on the Earthlings, while dissidents and sympathizers occasionally offer aid. Though, let's be honest, betrayal is never far behind. The show never received a proper ending. The final episode, Graveyard of Fools, wasn't written as a finale, and the penultimate episode, Wild Journey, delivers a time travel loop where the crew attempt to prevent the Spindrift flight, only to cause it. Season 1 ran a full 26 episodes. Season 2 came up one short, leaving the series with 51 episodes total. 52 if you count the unaired pilot. And here's the thing, this wasn't cheap television. Each episode had roughly $250,000 behind it. Adjusted for inflation, in 2026, that's nearly $2 million an episode, and you can see where it went. 2 complete sets had to be built, one for the little people, one for the giants, with props scaled accordingly and reused relentlessly. Giant telephones, pencils, doors, furniture, machinery. This wasn't CGI trickery, this was carpentry, force, perspective, and sweat. Watching the full run, it's hard not to see Land of the Giants as a sprawling Cold War metaphor. The giants are the Soviet Empire at its peak, imposing, intimidating, seemingly unstoppable, yet slow, inefficient, bureaucratic and repressed. Their society is dull and authoritarian, technologically uneven and suffocatingly controlled. The American little people, chaotic and flawed as they are, repeatedly outmaneuver them through ingenuity, improvisation and teamwork. The Spindrift passengers themselves embody what you might call Western decadence. You've got an arrogant capitalist, a spoiled socialite, a con artist, hotheads and, well, a couple of idealists thrown in for good measure. They bicker, argue, even come to blows, but when it really matters, they somehow manage to pull together. It's democracy through dysfunction, if you like. That said, the show is absolutely riddled with logic holes. At a 12th scale, the little people move through the city at, honestly, impossible speeds. The Spindrift flashes its lights constantly, day and night, like a beacon just screaming, "Come investigate me." Camouflage apparently never occurs to anyone. I mean, canary yellow blouses and fire engine red jumpsuits aren't exactly stealth wear, are they? Food is impossible to obtain, but pharmacies are somehow easy. Survival mechanics, the stuff that really should define a show like this, are often skipped in favor of surreal or fantastical plots. To be fair, I won't criticize the special effects. They were honestly the best television could manage at the time, and to be fair, many of them still hold up. The problem is repetition. The same table legs, the same doors, the same curbs, the same props. Entire episodes really should have focused on survival, crossing a stream that's basically a raging river, dealing with insects the size of livestock, the sheer terror of weather. Instead, the show often leaps straight past the most interesting implications of its premise. The cast, however, carries a lot of weight. Kirk Castner's Fitzhugh is only tolerable because of Castner's sheer relish in playing him. Don Matheson clearly enjoys rattling off technobabble as Mark Wilson. And you know, refreshingly, he's an engineer who isn't portrayed as a social cripple. Gary Conway's Captain Burton is understated and effective, the sort of square-jawed lead TV used to mass produce, though honestly, Conway deserved a bigger career. The women, unfortunately, are badly underserved. Heather Young's Betty is written like a future suburban afterthought, as stewardess as prelude to domesticity. Making her a trained nurse would have instantly justified her presence. Deanna Lund's Valerie hints at danger and sensuality, but the show never commits, missing the chance to make her a genuine foil to Burton and Wilson. And yet, nonsense though it often is, it's clever nonsense. Someone tried. Someone cared about the sets, the props, the scale, the illusion. That's why it works at all. The biggest weakness is that the Land of the Giants looks suspiciously like Earth. It could just as easily have been called Land of the Midgets, with perspective doing most of the heavy lifting. Like many American concept shows of the era, Lost in Space. The Invader's Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, The Fugitive, the idea was milked far beyond its natural lifespan, and somehow, despite living in drains, ducts and rat runs, everyone remains immaculately groomed. Perfect hair, crisp trousers, no mold, no grime, no infestation. A hygienic fantasy even by 1968 standards. Still, for kids it was magic, giant worlds, impossible danger, cardboard ambition, pretending to be infinity. And maybe that's the point. I'll take wobbling sets, oversized pencils, and visible seams over soulless perfection any day. At least back then, television had the courage to build its imagination, even if it was only out of cardboard, glue, and a ham sandwich budget. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments. where naturally I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.